trees were on fire, and men were burning inside them. Not the trees at the edge of the forest, the trees all around us, above us, beside us. The whole wilderness was burning, and we couldn't get out. Virginia, May 5th, 1864. A place called the Wilderness. 60 square miles of dense forest, tangled brush, swamp, and vines so thick you couldn't see the man 10 feet ahead of you. No open fields, no clear lines, no visibility in any direction. This was not a place anyone would choose to fight a battle, but war doesn't ask what you choose. General Ulysses S. Grant had just taken command of all Union armies. This was his first major offensive. His orders were simple and brutal. Find Lee's army and destroy it. No retreating, no waiting, no excuses. Every army before Grant had fought Lee and then pulled back to recover. Grant had made a promise to Lincoln and to the country. He would not pull back, not ever. Lee knew what was coming, and Lee had a plan. Draw Grant into the wilderness. Use the trees to strip away the Union advantage in numbers and artillery. In open ground, Grant's larger army would overwhelm the Confederates. But in a forest this dense, numbers meant almost nothing. In here, it came down to something rawer than strategy. It came down to survival. We crossed the Rapidan River on the morning of May 4th and moved south into the trees. I remember the way the forest swallowed us. One moment we were in open country, then the trees closed in. The sky disappeared. The light dropped to almost nothing, even at midday. The brush grabbed at our legs and tore at our uniforms. Men pushed forward because orders said forward, but every step felt like walking deeper into something that didn't want us there. Then the firing started. Not from in front, from the side, from everywhere at once. Lee had sent his corps forward along 2 parallel roads cutting through the wilderness, the Orange Turnpike and the Orange Plank Road. And suddenly, Confederate soldiers were pouring out of the trees from directions we hadn't even identified yet. The Battle of the Wilderness had begun, and it had begun in complete chaos. We couldn't see them. That was the first horror. We could hear the rifles. We could hear the screaming. We could see the smoke building between the trees, turning the dim forest light into something brown and suffocating. We couldn't see the men firing at us. We fired back at the smoke, at the sound, at shapes that appeared and vanished between the trunks. Men fell, and you didn't know from which direction the shot had come. The officers tried to form lines, real battle lines the way they trained us. Shoulder to shoulder, controlled volleys, disciplined fire. But the forest destroyed every formation within minutes. A regiment would push forward 20 yards and vanish into the brush, and the men behind them would have no idea where they had gone. Units mixed together. Union soldiers found themselves alongside men from completely different regiments, different states, different commands. Nobody knew the full picture. Nobody could see enough to know the full picture. I was exhausted before noon. Not from marching, from the mental weight of fighting blind. Then something changed on our right flank, and the news traveled back through the trees like a cold wind. General Longstreet's entire Confederate corps was somewhere out there, and nobody knew exactly where. Longstreet was Lee's best general, his most reliable hammer, and he was missing from the battlefield. That meant he was coming. It meant whatever was happening right now was only the opening act. The first day ended with the forest on fire in 3 different places. Artillery shells had ignited the dry underbrush, and the flames moved faster than men could run. Wounded soldiers who couldn't walk were lying in the path of those fires. We could hear them. We could hear them calling out from inside the smoke. Some of us ran toward the sound. Some of us couldn't reach them in time. That sound, I have never stopped hearing it. Dawn came on May 6th, and Grant pushed hard. Union forces attacked down the Orange Plank Road, and it was working. The Confederate line was cracking. General A.P. Hill's men had fought all day on the 5th and had not been properly reorganized overnight. They were exhausted. Their lines were loose, and Union troops were pushing them back, step by step, deeper into the trees. For a moment, just a moment, It felt like we might break through. Then Longstreet arrived. No one expected it that fast. His corps had marched through the night to reach the battlefield, and they came in at the exact moment the Confederate line was about to collapse. Fresh men, organized, moving at double speed. They hit the advancing Union forces head-on, and the momentum shattered instantly. We were pushed back, hard. The ground we had just taken at tremendous cost, gone in minutes. Men who had been advancing with confidence were suddenly running backward through the same brush they had just fought through forward. The reversal was so sudden, so violent, that units broke apart completely in the confusion. But Longstreet wasn't finished. He had found something, a gap. An unfinished railroad cut running along the southern edge of the battlefield, hidden under the trees. His engineers had spotted it. It ran directly along the exposed left flank of the Union position. Longstreet sent 4 brigades down that hidden corridor, and they hit us from the side, from below, from an angle nobody had defended because nobody had known it existed. The Union left flank collapsed. The collapse happened so fast I couldn't process it while it was occurring. Men to my left were there, and then they weren't. The firing that had been in front of me was suddenly to my side, and then almost behind me. The entire orientation of the battle shifted in minutes, and thousands of men were trying to find a new line, any line, in the middle of burning forest with smoke so thick you couldn't tell east from west. Then, Longstreet was shot. Not by the enemy, by his own men. Confederate soldiers in the smoke mistook Longstreet's group for Union cavalry and opened fire. Their best general went down in the middle of his own greatest success of the day. The attack that had just broken us apart, it stopped. The Confederates lost their momentum at the exact moment they should have finished us. The battle ground on through the afternoon. Grant refused to stop. He refused to retreat. He sat under a tree at his headquarters and whittled a stick and kept sending orders forward. Men around him expected the order to pull back across the Rapidan the way every Union general before him had done after a bad day against Lee. That order never came. By nightfall, the Wilderness had taken 18,000 Union casualties and 11,000 Confederate. The forest was still burning in places. Wounded men lay in the dark between the lines, and neither side could reach them safely. The groaning from the trees lasted all night long. I sat against a tree in the dark, and I tried to count the men from my company who I had seen that morning. I kept losing count. Not because I was tired, because too many of them weren't there to count anymore. The Battle of the Wilderness was technically a draw. Neither side destroyed the other. Neither side held ground that mattered. By every previous measure of this war, Grant should have retreated north, regrouped, and tried again later. That was the pattern. That was what Lee expected. Lee had beaten every Union general who had come before and watched each of them retreat after a battle like this. On the morning of May 7th, Grant ordered the army to move. The men who got the order thought they understood it. Another retreat, another defeat against Lee. They started moving, and their heads were down, their shoulders were bent. 2 days of hell, and now the long walk back north. But the road turned south. Grant was moving south, not retreating, advancing. Moving around Lee's flank, pushing deeper into Virginia, refusing to give Lee even a single day to breathe. The men understood what that meant. When they realized the direction, something moved through that army I had never seen before. Not cheering, exactly, something quieter than cheering. A determination, a collective decision made without any words spoken. They had found a general who would not stop, and they would not stop either. The Wilderness had cost nearly 30,000 men combined in 2 days. The trees were still smoking, the dead were still lying under the brush. And already Grant was moving toward the next battle, the next contact, the next attempt to end this war by refusing to let it pause. What happened next was something nobody who survived the Wilderness was prepared for. A crossroads town, a church, A place called Spotsylvania Courthouse, where Lee would be waiting again, and the killing would begin again. And a new kind of horror would unfold in the mud and the rain that would make the wilderness look almost clean by comparison. I was there for that too. And what I saw at Spotsylvania, the thing they built there, the thing men survived and didn't survive, there are no words for it yet. But I'll find them, because someone has to say what happened at that place. Someone has to say what this war was really doing to the men fighting it.